In today's video, we're going to design a portfolio or design agency website in Figma. This is a complete start to finish tutorial, so let's go ahead and begin. To get started, we'll need a frame, so F on the keyboard. I'm going to go to the desktop tab and grab a MacBook Pro 16-inch. Let's add some grids to this. So I'm just going to hit the plus icon and we'll change this to a column that is 12 count. I'm going to set the margin to 80 points on each side and lower the gutter down to 16. I have all three of my colors already in my local styles here. I've got a very light green, a medium green, and then a black color we're going to be using. So a pretty simple color palette. So with that frame selected now, I'm just going to fill that to the lighter shade of green. I have a FigJam file open here, and here is the hero section for the site. We've got the logo, the navigation up top. And then we have the text here that's very large. It's broken up and it's got these kind of cards here that link to case studies. So let's go ahead and start with the navigation up top. I'm just going to hit T on the keyboard, type in Hive Mind Studio. This is going to be 24 points, and let's give that a semi-bold weight. I'm using Clash Display, which you can get from one of my favorite font foundries, fontshare.com. Here's Clash Display. They're all completely free, so you can get that if you want to follow along. I'm going to hit the three little dots here and set that to all cap. And then let's just hold Option or Alt to create a duplicate of that. And I'll start to create our links. Our links are going to go down to a medium weight. And instead of 16, we'll drop them down to 18 points. They're a little bit larger. And we'll set that to title case. And let's create a few of these awards. And we'll have a call to action. Let's talk. With Let's Talk selected, I'm going to hit Shift A to wrap that in an auto layout. I'm going to center it, and let's add some padding to the sides. Let's do 32, and then on the top and the bottom, we'll go with 12. So first I need to change the black color to our style, which is a lighter color black, and then let's add a fill color to this, and we'll go with our darker green. Then let's add some corner radius. I'm going to try 20. I want it to be close to a pill shape, but I want it to have a little bit of a flat spot there on the sides. Looks nice. So let's select that in the links and hit Shift A for another auto layout. We'll put 48 spacing in between these and align this to the right. Then with that auto layout selected, I'm going to hold Shift and grab the logo. Then you guessed it, Shift A again to throw that into another auto layout. This time I'm going to center it and hit X on the keyboard, which will set the space in between to auto. So if we add some padding to the top here, 32 on the top and bottom, we can now touch this to the top of the frame and that first column, and then just drag over the width, and it auto scales for a nice navigation bar. So next we're going to create this big heading here. So I'm just going to hit T on the keyboard and type that heading out. And hope I spelled that correctly. Looks like I did. We'll set that to 160 and bump it up in weight to semi-bold. This is quite large, so we're going to wrap this. So I'm going to put it on the farthest left column and drag it to the full width of all 12 columns. Next, let's drop this down, and we're going to have this sitting at 56 points from the bottom of the fold in the frame here. And what we're going to do is use this text as a placeholder to align all the different text breaks. So let's copy this and then hit 2 on the keyboard to drop it down to 20% opacity. In the layers panel, I'll just click the lock so we can't accidentally move it around. And then I'll paste that text in on top of it. So we're going to have a break here in between agency and the word that for that card. So I'm just going to cut away all this text and then just T on the keyboard and type in that. And we'll position that right where it was originally. And now we can slide this over and give us plenty of room to work here. And then we'll add the next row. And we'll just put that one exactly where it was. And then finally add the word experiences on its own row. So this one will align up. And we're going to have another card in front of this one. So now that we have that aligned, I can slide it over. I'm holding Shift so I don't accidentally move it off the baseline there. You don't have to if you have a steady hand, which I do not. So now that we have plenty of space to add those cards in, I'm just going to start here on this one. So let's actually get this text out of the way. I'm just going to delete that. And I'm going to grab the rectangle tool and let's drag a rectangle out that is the same height as our capital letter there. And we'll just drag this out about 450-ish wide. We'll give it a nice corner radius of 48 so it looks similar to our call to action button. It's not quite a full pill shape there. Got that little flat spot. And for now, we'll set this to our black color. Next, let's grab a rectangle once more, and I'm going to drag out a square. And I want this square to be centered vertically and have 8 padding on the top and the bottom. So that's going to dictate its size here. So mine needs to be 91 to have 8 points of space on each side there. Let's add a corner radius of 40 since it needs to be smaller since it's inside its parent. And we'll drag that over and allow 8 points of spacing there on the side. Let's fill that to our green color. And let's throw in a logo using material symbols plugin here. Go with a play button. Let's bump it up to 48. Make sure it's filled. And we'll grab that play button. And we'll just center this inside of that new square. With that done, we can select all that, Command G to group it. And let's create a duplicate of that. And I'm just going to use this T here to make sure it's lined up on that baseline, which it is. And let's replace this icon. So the good thing about this plugin is if I run it again, this time I want an arrow icon. If I just click, it auto updates that for me. I don't have to reposition it or anything. And then I'm going to increase the weight of that to 600 just to make that a little bit more bold. Finally, let's make sure that all of our spacing is good. So I'm going to grab a temporary rectangle that I'm going to drag out that is 48 points wide. And I'm going to kind of put that here on the Y and then just drag this over. And then I'm going to do this over here as well so that we have equal spacing. And finally, let's do this down here. Let's push this on this first column. And using that guide, we'll bring over experience until it touches that rectangle. Shift G to turn off our guide so you can kind of see how this is taking shape. Next, I'm just going to fill these 2 rectangles with an image. I'm going to grab that rectangle and I'm just going to go to the fill and grab an image. So all the images I'll be using in this design were generated by Midjourney. If you're interested in learning Midjourney, I have several videos. I'll link one on the screen for you right now. And I'm just going to crop these and make them look good in these 2 cards in our hero section. And there's our hero section for this agency website. Real quick, today's video is sponsored by NordPass. NordPass Business is a platform where your company's digital wealth is managed. You can store and access your online accounts from anywhere. NordPass allows you to add things like Wi-Fi codes, passwords, login information, and just overall make sure your organization's credentials are up to date and stored in a secure location. So no more texting or emailing sensitive credentials. You can easily add or revoke access to anyone in your organization, making sure they have access to the accounts that they need. This not only saves you time waiting on the main account holder to give you access, but it also makes sure that all your company's credentials are safe and secure. If you're interested in NordPass for yourself, you can use code KALERNORD, which will give you 1 month free on the 2-year subscription. And for businesses, you can use code KALEREdwards, which will give you a 3-month free trial. Both of those and their links will be down in the description below. Now, back to the video. Now that we have the hero complete, the next section when the user scrolls down is a full block video. So I'm going to grab a rectangle and I'm just going to drag it out and cover the entire frame with this. Then I'm just going to click on the frame itself, go to the height value and multiply that by 2. And then we can drag that rectangle down and touch it to the bottom of the frame. So again, here I'm going to grab an image. In this case, it's just going to be an image, but it would actually be a video if I was building the site. So I'll just throw that image in. I'm going to select crop and I'm going to get exactly the frame of that image that I want. That looks pretty good. So here we're going to go with a stylized choice and I'm going to do independent corners. So I'm just going to select that. And for the top right corner, we're going to add 256 corner radius. And for the bottom left, 256. Adds that nice round and it's a cool aesthetic. So that's our full block video done. So let's move on down to the next section. Just grabbing the artboard name and it's going to drag down. Now let's actually put quite a bit of workroom there. Let's add a H2 here. So I'm going to hit T on the keyboard and let's type in some text. Say our agency brings ideas to life. I'm going to hit Shift G to bring up our guides once more. And I'll put that on that left-hand column. And we'll put 256 points of spacing below that image in between this and the new section. So I'll head back over to that FigJam file. So this next section got a big bold heading. We already have that. Then I'm thinking we have this nice asymmetrical grid layout, and it just kind of flips a few times there. And we showcase 3 different projects. So we may have the logo in this one, and then the actual image of the website or whatever this agency designed. Then we'll have a name and a link to that here, and then so on. So let's grab a rectangle tool and just drag out a rectangle to get started. So I have a rectangle that's currently 8 columns wide. And for the height, I'll just do this visually. So I'm going to go with about 912 points high there. Then I'm going to copy this, drag it over, and we're going to put 48 points of spacing in between these two. And then we'll just drag this one up to about 512. I'll give these a temporary fill since we just have a background that makes it kind of hard to see those rectangles. So T on the keyboard, I'm going to type out the first client name, Stellar, and then we'll set that to 32 points in size. And we'll put that 48 from the bottom of this square. Let's open up material symbols again. So I'm going to grab that same arrow, and then I'm going to bump it up to 600 again, match our bold font. With that selected, I'm going to grab that text and Shift A to throw that in an auto layout and set that to space in between there. And we'll just drag this to 3 columns wide. And then I'm going to make sure that's set to the top alignment. So we have that. And now the easy part, we just grab this rectangle and copy it. We're going to put a decent amount of space in between the case studies so they feel visually separated. So we'll just go about 400 points there. And then we'll just select this and drag it over. And then for this one, let's push that over so it touches there. And we'll update the name. Call that one Pixel Company. And we'll just copy the first one with 400 spacing. Now I'll just fill in the project files and this client's name. All right, so I just filled all of those in, and I just used the material symbols as the company logos. That way I don't have to design those. But you get the point here, just some featured case studies. And so that will do it for that section. So let's move on to the next one here. This next section is going to be for the accomplishments and awards here. So we're just going to have the client name on the left, the discipline. So they might have a few of these like web design or branding, and then the awards that they've won. And it's going to link here to the finished product. So pretty straightforward section. So T on the keyboard here, and it's going to type in client. We'll set this to 48. And I'm turning back on my grid, and I'm going to align this on the left-hand side there. And let's put about 400 spacing there in between the last section and this new one. Option or Alt to drag over, and we'll do about a 2-column gap there. Discipline, and then finally we'll say awards. And we'll put that one right there on that 3rd column from the right. L on the keyboard for the line tool, and we'll just drag out one from edge to edge there. We'll set this to 2 points wide, and I'm going to go ahead and set that to our darker green color. 32 points below all of those headings looks good. So let's add our first client here, and then let's drop that down to 24. And then I'm actually going to go up and grab our button at the top, call to action button there, copy that, and just paste that down here. So we're actually going to reuse this. Let's remove the fill and add a 2-point stroke that is our text color black. And we'll just say web design there. And we'll vertically center that with our client info there. And maybe this one has 2 awards. And let's do 24 spacing in between these. And we'll set this one to brand identity. And then we'll set the award here. And I'll just use awards.com. So let's do an honorable mention, put a little spacer, award, and let's actually grab that icon, and we'll throw that in an auto layout. And let's put 12 points of spacing in between the word and that looks pretty good. So we'll just select all of those and make sure they're vertically centered. And then I'm just going to grab that and hold shift and grab that line. And then we'll just create a duplicate, make sure it's 32 points of space. And we'll just do that a few times to fill out this section. Then we can just duplicate one of those lines and add it to the bottom. So we're almost done. We have 2 sections left, one more block section for a call to action, and then our footer. Just going to select that frame and then just drag down so we have some room to work with. Then we can go back up and actually grab that first section we created, that big block section, and just reuse that. Then we can just match that spacing we've been using. We'll go with 400 once again. Then we can swap these corners around just to make it different, and then update this image. We're going to go with a nice, easy call to action, just a really big text link. So let's talk, and then I'll scale that up to 192. I'll center that into this image block and set it to our background colored green. You can probably see the contrast issue here, so I'll just select that image, hit that plus, and then add 30% black on top of the image, separating that from the text. At this point, I noticed I'm using straight black throughout the design instead of our color palette black, so I just click on the frame to update that globally, and it changes all of our text colors to the correct color. For the footer, I'll start with a small heading set to 48 points. We don't need a whole lot of space in between this and the previous section, so I'll just put 80 points of space and then wrap this to 6 columns wide. I'm going to go up to the top of the frame and I'm going to grab the company logo, and I'll also grab one of our navigation links and paste those in the footer. There's no need to start from scratch. Grabbing these just allows us to build this out a lot faster. We're going to have 2 vertical columns of links, so I'll rename this one to home, and then holding Option or Alt, just click and drag to create a duplicate. Selecting both and then throwing them in an auto layout will make it easier just to copy and paste a few of these and update them. I'm going to select the home link, click on those 3 dots and set it to underlined just to mark which page we're currently on. Then I'm going to hold Option or Alt once more and create a duplicate of these vertically stacked links. With this link stack, I'll just update these to some of the different service pages that this design agency offers. Finally, we'll go back to the hero and grab yet another pre-existing element, and I'll copy and paste that down at the bottom. I'm going to rotate this arrow 45 degrees just to make a back to the top arrow. We'll position that on the far right, touching the bottom of our logo. Then grabbing both of those, I'm going to put 128 spacing between that and the bottommost link of our footer to give us some nice vertical height for the section. Lastly, let's remove the extra white space from our frame. I'm just going to use a temporary rectangle that's 32 points high, stick that right below our logo. Then I'll grab the frame and just drag it up until it snaps to that rectangle, and we can delete it to finish off our agency website design. I hope you enjoyed today's Figma design tutorial. If you got to this point in the video, my challenge for you is to create the mobile version for this website. You can tag me at Kaylor Edwards on Instagram or Twitter to share that with me. And if you have any questions, make sure you leave them down in the comments below and I'll try to get to them. Special thanks to NordPass for sponsoring today's video. You can try NordPass for yourself with code KaylorNord, which will give you 1 month free on a 2-year subscription. And for businesses, you can use code Kaylor Edwards, which will give you a 3-month free trial. Check out both links in the description. Here's another Figma video I think you'll enjoy. You can also subscribe in the top left for more videos like this every single week. And as always, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.